Okay, so I'm going to, sorry, I think school just got let out. I'm just going to do my my February wrap up really fast. I completely failed with all of my reading goals, like all of these books that I wanted to read. I did not, I read very little. Well, not very little. I read 5 books, but I didn't read nearly as much as what I had hoped. My aspirations were like a little too high. So I'm just going to go over really quickly the books that I read since I am doing individual book talks for each book. There's 2 books that I read that I did not do individual book talks for that I'm going to do. So I'll link all of them below. So if you're interested in any of these, you can watch that and see. I try to keep them relatively short, so whatever. The first book that I finished was Men We Reaped by Jesmyn Ward. This is a memoir that she wrote. It's basically about 5 men that are close to her and how they passed or were murdered. And yeah, it's very, very interesting. I gave this 4 stars on Goodreads. It's more of like a 3.5 for me because I didn't love the formatting, but it has a lot of really good points and like it's very, very interesting. So I would definitely recommend this. The next book that I finished was Extracts, I think, yes, was Extracts from the Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir, and again, this is translated by Constance Board and Sheila Malovany Chevalier, methinks, and this was absolutely fantastic. I give this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I read a couple of excerpts in my video, so if you're interested, you should check that out. Sorry, I just got an email. It's fantastic. I'm really pumped to read the whole thing in the future. The next book that I read was Did You Ever Have a Family by Bill Clegg. This was a buddy read with Elena from Elena Reads Books. This was good. It was also kind of like a 3.5, but I rounded it down to a 3. I also didn't love the writing style of this very much, and I go into more detail in the individual book talk, but it's basically a multi-narrative perspective of grief and tragedy and loss, and it was good. I just wouldn't bump it up to the top of your list if you happen to find it cheap. I'm sorry, Bill. I would read it, but I just didn't love it very much. It was just it was good. It was good. The next book that I read was Native Son by Richard Wright. This book, I buddy read this with 3 other girls. Mickey from Mickey's Booktube Experiment, Ginger it's on page 47 or page 47. I don't know. I just recently subscribed to her. I didn't know who she was before this readathon, and she's fantastic. And Sylvia from Sylvia Nguyen. I don't know if she has a different channel name, but anyways, I'm going to do a book talk about this. I haven't done it yet because there's so many thoughts and feelings, and I don't really know how to express them properly, I don't think. But it was wild. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was insane. Yeah. I don't even really know what to say about it. But when I post a video, I'll link it below. I don't know. I still don't really know what to say about this book, so I'm gonna refrain for now. And then the last book that I banged out on the last day of the month was The Collector by John Fowles. This was for the Insane in the Membrane group, and also it was actually the BookTube Recommends book that Claire from the Book Fox recommended to me. So this was good too. I gave this also 3 out of 5 stars. I had a very not spectacular, good but not spectacular reading month. It's basically a man who I guess is obsessed with collecting butterflies, and he kidnaps this woman, which happens in the first 20 pages, so no surprise there. Plus there's a girl who looks like she's wrapped up on the cover. But yeah, it was really good. The problem is that it reminded me too much of a lot of other different things that all happened after this book, so it's not really this book's fault that I just happened to get to it afterwards. I still thought it was really good. It was just kind of anticlimactic. I thought it was going to be much more than it was, but it was good. It was good. And then also I forgot to mention I DNF'd a book. I DNF'd Last Cool Days by Jon Stewart, which I had started at the beginning of the month, and then I started reading Native Son, and then I went to go pick it up again afterwards. But it's basically I'm going to read you the back really fast. Marcus is a young black village boy who gets fatefully attracted by the strangeness and the privileges of white children in his neighborhood and is befriended by the English overseer's son, Anthony. The awkwardness and instability of this relationship in time reinforce his sense of insecurity and alienation, instilling in him an adult rage that leads ultimately to tragedy. I don't know if any of y'all have read Native Son. I'm sure some of you have, but it's very, like, I read this to the girls when I was unboxing. They were like, no, don't put that down. And I had to. I wasn't really interested in it very much to begin with. Not that I was interested in reading it, but once I started reading it, it wasn't grabbing my attention. There's so many words, which I know it's like, it's a book. I know that there's many words in it, but it's just like too many words for such a tiny book. And it just wasn't, like, I got anxiety every time I thought about having to read this book. And then the fact that it was so similar and like theme to Native Son, it just totally put me off. And now I am not finishing this. For now, I'm going to keep it on my shelves and hopefully I'll try again in like a year. And if it doesn't work that time either, then I'm just gonna have to say goodbye. And I feel really bad because he only has 3 ratings. There's only 3 ratings for this on Goodreads, and 2 of them are a 4 and 1 of them is a 2. And where I was at, I was gonna either DNF or give it a 2. So I feel like bad because I don't want to give it a bad rating because there's only 3, and but I can't help it. Anyways, so for that was all of the books that I finished. The video is still long, even though I guess it's not long yet, but it's going to get long. So I wanted to talk about for the challenge that I'm doing, the Around the World in 52 Books challenge. For that, I read, it's these same books. I'm just going to tell you what challenges they met. Did You Ever Have a Family? For me was challenge number 13, which is Reader's Choice. Super cheating because I didn't really pick any books from this list this month. I also picked, for number 28, a biography, autobiography, or memoir. So for that, I read Men We Reaped. And then an identity book, a book about a different culture, religion, or sexual orientation. For that, I'm picking Native Son. This is also, I feel like, kind of a cheat, but it was written like at a totally different time and in a totally different culture than I feel I live in now, even though it is the U.S. still. But it's like Chicago in the late 30s, and there's a lot of communism and a lot of racism, and I just feel like I know that exists still in the world, but I feel like in my community where I live, not so much. So I picked that for this. Kind of cheating. Sorry, guys. And then I also read number 50, which is a book originally written in a language other than English, and for that I picked The Second Sex because this is a French author. So yeah. That happened. I also wanted to do a little talk in these videos about kind of like where I am with my goals. I did not have time to read a Dominican book this month, so in February. So I'd like to read 2 this month now in March. I did read my book 2, Brooke Men's book, so that is exciting. But unfortunately, my U.S. and English author ratio compared to other ratio is really crap right now because I don't know if you noticed, but I think every single one of these was a U.S. or English author except for The Second Sex, so that messes everything up, and it's 67% now, and I want it to be less than 50%, so I need to try to read more authors from other parts of the world. And also my average page count for my books that I'm reading is 287, and I didn't mention this in my year goals, but my goal is to have it be at least 300. So, but I'm also behind on my Goodreads goal. So I basically need to read a bunch of really short things and then finish up these bad boys back here. And then hopefully that will bump up my page count. I don't know. I don't know how people read all the time. I wish I could, but it's very, very difficult. So anyways, that was everything that I read this month. I hope everyone had a great February. I also kind of want to talk about other things like movies and TV and podcasts that I listen to. Would you all be interested in that? If I did, I was thinking maybe I could do it all together, but I don't like having videos longer than 10 minutes, and I'm basically at the 10-minute mark right now. And I feel like I'm talking much faster than I usually talk as well. So let me know if you'd be interested in me doing a separate video with that kind of stuff, because I'm starting to watch more movies. Total crap movies, but I'm starting to watch more movies, and I'd kind of like to talk about them a little bit. Who knows? So yeah, anyways, hope everyone is having a great day, time.